This is a true story. A man got trapped in a cave due to a collapse and was stuck for over half a month. After many failed rescue attempts, his remains were shockingly turned into a paid exhibit. The incident happened in 1925 in Kentucky, USA. At that time, it was popular to turn caves into tourist attractions. A man named Floyd Collins found a sand cave in a great location, perfect for a tourist spot. However, the cave had extremely narrow passages. On January 30th, Floyd entered the cave alone to explore. The cave was complex and winding. He hoped to find a suitable passage to develop. After exploring for half a day, he realized his oil lamp was running out. Knowing it was time to leave, he turned around but accidentally knocked over the lamp, plunging the cave into darkness. Floyd wasn't scared, as it wasn't his first time being in the dark in a cave. He remembered the way back and started feeling his way out. He soon reached the narrowest part of the passage, where he had to press his arms tightly against his sides and wiggle his body forward. Then, disaster struck. As he pushed with his legs, he kicked loose a 12-kilogram rock, which fell on his left leg. To make matters worse, the pain caused him to jerk his body, dislodging loose sand that buried his legs, body, and hands. Luckily, his head was still above the sand. He struggled, but couldn't free himself. About 45 meters from the cave entrance, Floyd shouted for help, but soon realized no one could hear him. He decided to save his energy and wait for rescue. As he lay there, he noticed water dripping onto his face, like a form of torture. He tried turning his head to avoid the water, but it made breathing difficult, so he had to endure the dripping. The next afternoon, Floyd's brother, Homer, found his coat at the cave entrance and realized something was wrong. After checking the cave, he tried to comfort Floyd and then rushed to get help. Soon, news of Floyd's predicament spread through the town, attracting many onlookers. Some tried to enter the cave to see Floyd, but left after realizing how narrow the passage was. Even rescuers hesitated, thinking it was too tight to carry out a rescue. Homer, being small and agile, decided to feed Floyd to keep his strength up while trying to dig away the sand. However, every time he cleared some sand, more would fall from above. After hours of exhausting work, Homer was forced to rest. By then, over 100 people had gathered outside the cave. But no one had a good rescue plan. A thin reporter named Miller crawled into the cave to deliver food and a wired light bulb to provide both light and warmth. After seeing Floyd's condition, Miller wrote about it in the newspaper. A rescue plan was made to pull Floyd out with a rope. Homer tied the rope around Floyd, and they began to pull. At first, it seemed to work, but Floyd screamed in pain, feeling as if his body was being torn in half. They stopped immediately. The rock pinning his leg was too heavy, and pulling him out caused extreme pain. On February 5th, the story spread nationwide, and thousands of people came to see the scene. Vendors set up stalls, selling food and souvenirs, and people even camped near the cave. The small town had never seen so many visitors. On February 6th, a cave expert suggested two rescue plans: digging a vertical shaft from the surface to reach Floyd, or entering the cave to dig out the sand. They started digging the shaft, but it took days to make progress. On February 7th, part of the cave collapsed, completely sealing Floyd off from the outside world. It was likely caused by vibrations from the crowds and digging. Now, the only hope was the vertical shaft. On February 13th, the light bulb that had kept Floyd warm went out. They feared the worst. Finally, on February 16th, the shaft reached the right depth, and a small tunnel was dug towards Floyd. But by then, he had died from cold and hunger, likely on February 14th. His body was still trapped under the rock. and no one dared to risk another collapse to recover him. 2 months later, German engineers completed the tunnel and brought his remains out. He was buried on his family's farm, but the story didn't end there. In 1927, Floyd's father sold the land to a local dentist, who shockingly dug up Floyd's body, preserved it, and displayed it in a glass case as a paid exhibit, profiting from his fame. When the family sued, they lost the case and could only watch as his body became a tourist attraction. In 1929, Floyd's remains were mysteriously stolen, but were found hours later near a river, missing a leg. Despite this, the body was returned to the exhibit. It wasn't until 1960 that the National Park Service took over the cave and properly buried Floyd at the Mammoth Cave Baptist Church Cemetery in 1989. That's the end of this story. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.